everyone. Welcome to the online class of Traditional Chinese Medicine Gerontology. Today, we're going to learn Geriatric Syndrome. First, let's learn the definition of Geriatric Syndrome. Geriatric syndrome caused by multiple pathological processes or multiple predisposing factors is a kind of senile disease with the same clinical manifestations. This disease can seriously damage the living ability of the elderly, significantly reduce the quality of life of the elderly, and significantly shorten the life expectancy of the elderly. There is difference between geriatric syndrome and traditional medical syndrome. Traditional medical syndrome refers to a syndrome with multiple clinical manifestations resulting from a specific pathological process. Geriatric syndrome has the same clinical manifestation caused by multiple pathogenic factors, while traditional medical syndrome has multiple clinical manifestations resulting from one disease. For example, falls in elderly syndrome can be caused by sensory disorders, central nervous system diseases, skeletal muscle diseases, metabolic disorders, various acute diseases, mental disorders, polypharmacy, and environmental factors. Common geriatric syndromes include dementia, depression, delirium, dysphagia, pain, polypharmacy, pressure ulcers, Parkinson's syndrome, constipation, weakness, and sarcopenia. Next, let's take a look at prevention and treatment principles of GS. Geriatric syndrome is a series of clinical manifestations of degeneration of various functions in the elderly. Early detection, intervention, and treatment play a positive and important role in geriatric diseases. The following basic principles should generally be followed in the elderly healthcare activities. First, pay high attention to it. GS is very harmful. Once it occurs, it will seriously affect the activity of daily living of the elderly and significantly reduce the quality of life of the elderly. All parties should pay high attention to it. Second, strengthen propaganda and education. Strengthen the propaganda and education of gerontological science knowledge, improve the elderly's awareness of GS, and make the elderly consciously take certain intervention measures which can effectively prevent the occurrence of GS or reduce its harmfulness. Third, pay attention to evaluation. In clinical work, comprehensive evaluation of the elderly patients should be carried out to find their risk of disease as much as possible. And a scientific and reasonable health intervention plan should be formulated to effectively reduce the incidence, disability, and mortality of GS. Fourth, comprehensive treatment. For the patients who have had GS, in addition to the comprehensive evaluation of the elderly patients, we should make full use of multidisciplinary cooperation and integrated Chinese and Western medicine intervention to make targeted treatment. The focus of geriatric syndrome is on symptoms rather than disease. This kind of comprehensive examination and overall evaluation of the elderly patients coincides with the theory of traditional Chinese medicine with holistic view, preventive treatment of disease, and treatment based on syndrome. Sun Zhai's Legacy by Zhou Zhigan in Ming Dynasty. Doctors should not treat patients only based on the symptoms. Since disease has its biao and ban, there are many cases where the ban of the disease is not found but the biao is seen. There must be loss if we only cure the biao when the biao and ban of the disease are opposite or do not match. Only when we know the reason why the symptom occurs as we see the symptom, we can know the ban of the disease. Then, the prevention and treatment of geriatric syndrome with the theory of traditional Chinese medicine is to identify the cause, nature, location of the disease, and the relationship between antipathogenic factors and pathogenic factors through comprehensive analysis by the four examination methods. To summarize the pathogenesis and reflect the essence of pathological changes at a certain stage in the development of the elderly disease, based on the comprehensive collection of clinical data of the elderly. It can be seen that the TCM prevention and treatment of geriatric syndrome is still based on syndrome differentiation. Today, we have learned the definition and classification of geriatric syndrome and the prevention and treatment principles of traditional Chinese and Western medicine. Hope you will take time to sort out and summarize after class. That's all for today's lesson. Thank you.